this video is just going to be what I want in Fallout 5. And well, first thing I think is this is what everyone wants. Everyone wants to be able to kill kids. The fact that you cannot kill kids in Fallout New Vegas was a big downside and really hurt any genocide run. In Fallout 3, it hurt genocide run too. In Fallout 4, it also hurt that. Of course, there was way more characters you can't kill in Fallout 4 than Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas. But yeah, I think you should be able to kill everyone like you did in New Vegas, except for like a yes man character, a character where you can beat the game. Or maybe Fallout 5 will make it so you could kill anyone in the entire game no matter what, but you could still beat the game. Like maybe there's a secret ending if you kill every faction. Or maybe it ends by you blowing up the world or something. You never really know. But anyway, I want to be able to kill kids. I think that's something that everyone in Fallout wants. Now, what I also want in Fallout, I don't want any more Brotherhood. We've had Brotherhood, unless it's like New Vegas, where there was a small Brotherhood chapter and it wasn't a major faction. I don't want a major faction Brotherhood. I love Fallout 4, I love Fallout 3, and I love Fallout New Vegas, but the Brotherhood's becoming old. And I think that it's kind of getting out there that I don't really want them anymore. I mean, they show up in every single game series, and other people can have power armor. Maybe some people found salvage power armor or something like that. The next thing I would want in a Fallout game is water-based combat. Fallout 4, originally there was going to be vaults underwater and stuff like that, but there was nothing really there. I think if there was boats and things like that, then that could be really great for combat. Maybe exploring the open seas. What could be a great Fallout game is a Fallout game based on the Great Lakes. Now, the Great Lakes are extremely big and could act like a Mediterranean Sea. You see, back in the old day, there was Rome, there was Carthage, there was many great empires built around the Mediterranean. Empires like Italia, empires like the Ottomans, and many others traded through this great sea. This sea was extremely important throughout many decades and centuries until Europe discovered the New World. I'd love to see that, but from the Great Lakes. The Great Lakes are the biggest lakes in the world, and I'd love to see sea-based empires. Maybe there's a rich merchant empire that goes throughout the sea. Or maybe there's a group of people similar to the Brotherhood, but not the Brotherhood. Maybe they left the Brotherhood for another reason, and they found a battleship. We've seen a battleship in River City. I would love to see a working battleship in Fallout. Maybe there's a faction that discovered how to remake them, discovered how to make them work again, and just decided to patrol the Mediterranean. I would love to see sea-based content and maybe some piracy and stuff like that. What I would also like in the next Fallout game are some vehicles, because we had some long time waiting for this. They wanted to add cars in Fallout New Vegas, but they couldn't. I feel like enough time has passed that they can finally add vehicles to Fallout, and I'd love to be able to drive around on a motorcycle or something like that. Maybe not a full-blown car, but maybe a motorcycle or something little like that could really work out. Or maybe even a little go-kart could be funny and could work in the Fallout universe. Imagine a go-kart with chainsaws on it that you drive into things. That could really work. And the Fallout TV series had a character that everyone loved, the ghoul. The ghoul was everyone's favorite character. And I think they did that on purpose. I think they were testing to see if you want to play as a ghoul. How about this? In this Fallout universe, you don't start out as a ghoul, but you can turn yourself into one. Fallout 4, Hancock turned himself into a ghoul, so I think that should be a good idea. I think you should be able to turn yourself into a ghoul. It should be a rare item, and if you get it, feral ghouls no longer attack you, and you're no longer affected by radiation. And ghoul characters like you more, and it's easier to get ghoul companions. However, I think there should be a big downside. Supermutants and ghouls won't attack you, but certain people will. Certain settlements will cut you off, and you won't be able to do certain quests unless you've already got them. I think this makes sense. I think you should be able to turn yourself into a ghoul because, well, it adds a new flavor to Fallout. We've played Fallout over and over again, but it's always from a human's perspective. And except in Fallout New Vegas, it's always from a vault dweller's perspective. Wouldn't it be cool to be a ghoul? Wouldn't it be cool to explore these broken down cities and radiated wastelands? Maybe there's a part in the game where you have to become a ghoul, and at the end you have a choice to cure yourself or stay a ghoul. I think that could be really interesting. And here's an opinion that might not be too popular, but I honestly think they should bring it back. What ticked me off about Fallout 76 is they got rid of the dialogue wheel. The dialogue wheel made it so you can hear your own voice, and it sounded way more real. I loved hearing my character talk, and I loved hearing my character's voice. And for some reason, so many people hated the dialogue wheel. I don't know why. I mean, it allows you to hear yourself talk. That is the coolest thing. We 100% need the dialogue wheel back. and it made it so it was much easier to understand. It made it so if you weren't paying attention, you could understand it way more, and you didn't have to read as much. I really do like the dialogue wheel, and I think they should 100% bring it back, and I don't understand why people hated the dialogue wheel in the first place, to be absolutely honest with you. So let's recap. I want them to bring back the dialogue wheel. I want them to be able to kill any character you want, even kids. And I want there to be vehicles and possibly even water-based combat. I also would want you to be able to turn into a ghoul or possibly even a super mutant. Although that should probably lock you out of quests and certain endings because of the great advantages that it gives you. Now it's time to talk about where it should take place. And I have many different ideas on where a Fallout game like this should take place. And well, I have 3 different ideas. 1, New York. New York is the most populated city in the entire US, and it's one of the most influential cities. Arguably, the only more influential one is Washington. New York has the New York Stock Exchange. New York has a bigger population. New York has so many things going for it. New York was also one of the first cities that America built, and the fact that they chose Boston over New York, I love Fallout 4, and it's nothing against Boston, but why the heck would we have a game based in Boston, not New York? It doesn't make any logical sense. And Fallout New York should, since the Brotherhood ending, or the Minutemen ending, one of those ending is confirmed canon, the New York game could tell us which one was canon. And maybe the Institute could have survived. If the Minutemen won, maybe some Institute scientists fled to New York, and you can rebuild the Institute and make it better, and make it not like it was. And maybe there could be other things. Maybe there could be a town full of ghouls trying to resist the Brotherhood occupation. However, if it takes place in New York, since the Brotherhood are still alive, the Brotherhood would have to be in it, since they have probably expanded from Boston into New York at this point. And even though that doesn't mean you shouldn't make it, I feel like Fallout New York should wait a bit, because, well, we've had so many games with the Brotherhood, let's give the Brotherhood some sleep time for now. Now, another game that could work would be Fallout LA. Fallout Los Angeles could make a lot of sense. After all, the NCR is basically almost collapsed and is fighting to survive. The NCR almost completely wiped out the Brotherhood and was thriving. And after Caesar's Legion's defeat, they probably continued to go great. However, there was a faction nobody really knew about, Vault-Tec. And Vault-Tec nuked one of their major cities and almost completely wiped out the NCR. I would love to see Vault-Tec as this boogeyman, as Vault-Tec would replace the Institute and become this scary faction that no one barely knows anyone about. And maybe you can help rebuild the NCR, or maybe make an independent Los Angeles, or maybe just help the Fallout faction, help Vault-Tec. I don't know. There could be a lot of options for LA. And all those options are great. The one that I want to see the most is Fallout Great Lakes. You're probably asking, why am I so obsessed with water? Well, there was an empire called Carthage that was around the Mediterranean Sea. And the Mediterranean Sea is a lot like the U.S. Great Lakes. And I believe a giant body of water could be very important. After all, water is important to grow crops. That's why so many empires were coastal empires, or so many empires spread through water. Great Britain and even the Sea People, which we don't really know much about. So I feel like the Great Lakes could be a great thing, and we have seen boats before. We've seen a battleship in River City. We've seen a boat take you to Far Harbor. We've seen so much. So I feel like a navy or something like that in the Great Lakes would make a lot of sense. Keep in mind that America invaded Canada in this timeline, so it makes sense for America to build ships there. I would love to see pirates. Instead of raiders, I would like to see pirates. Pirates are water-based raiders that steal boats and things like that. And maybe in this timeline, we haven't really seen a lot of the other states. Whenever we do a Fallout game, it just takes place during a city. I would love to see a full Commonwealth. I would love for a game to take place in Michigan, Pennsylvania, Ohio, and all the Great Lakes states, even maybe the Great Lake provinces. Since America annexed Canada, we could see some of the Canadian land that was occupied by America. That could work out very well, and see this Great Lake. And we could have pirates instead of raiders and other things like that. I would also love to see an empire that's based off the sea, because in ancient history, most empires were sea-based. The sea was very important, and there's a lot of empires that are still sea-based to this day. America even has the strongest navy because how important the sea really is. So, I would love to see a bunch of battleships or a bunch of ships in the Great Lakes that are being used by pirates or other people. And maybe even have a pirate ending or a pirate DLC like the Nuka World DLC. There's a lot of potential that could be going out there. There could also be submarines, and maybe, since Vault-Tec was confirmed to be a faction, we can have Vault-Tec in the Great Lakes. Maybe there's secret vaults underwater, or maybe there's this great underwater city called Atlantis built by Vault-Tec. Or maybe there's these ancient military bases that were built by Canada before the US invaded. Maybe there's a Canadian resistance that survived. Basically similar to the Enclave, but with Canada. And now that Canada and the United States is dead, they try to take over the Great Lakes to rebuild the Canadian government and start to take land that America once held too. Because, well, why not? It's free for the taking. There can be many other things. Also, I would love to see other experiments. Since the Great Lakes take place on water, I would love to see more water-based creatures. We got mirelurks and other things, but we don't really get much else. I would love to see squids, or maybe giant mutated fish, or something of that nature. And I could love, maybe you're in a submarine, and you battle these giant sea-based monsters and things like that. Or if you're on a boat going to water, there's giant crabs or barnacles that could affect your ship. I would love to see that in a Fallout game. I think that could work very well. And could add way more love to the game. Because, similar to Minecraft, there used to be almost nothing in the water besides squids. In Fallout, they just have mirelurk and crabs. I feel like adding all this to the water can make it feel way more realistic and give it way more love. And even make an underwater faction. Or maybe a mutated bunch of people. Maybe there was an experiment to mix people's DNA with fish. So now there's fish people under the water. There could be a lot to add here. And I would love to see a completely different culture. Like I said, America annexed Canada. So if the Great Lakes game came out, I'd love to see Canadian and United States culture mix into one, since we annexed them. I think that could go really well. And I'd love to see way more naval-based combat, and way more under-the-sea things. Because I feel like Fallout has explored a lot of things, but what they haven't explored is the sea. And I feel like exploring the sea in this irradiated world would make a lot of sense. And maybe even have a plane. After all, like I said, there will probably be quite a few military bases and military equipment there in the Great Lakes. Because that's right, close to Canada, and which we annexed. So I would love to see a lot more military-based things like that. I would also like to see more dishes and things like that. After all, every Fallout game has a unique dish. Most Fallout places have Nuka-Cola, but New Vegas has Sarsaparilla and Nuka-Cola. Maybe their own drink up there could be interesting. And maybe in Fallout 4 you could build these water purifiers, and I feel like purifying water would be very important. Maybe there's a bunch of people who want to purify the entire Great Lakes, and the entire game is based on who do you want to purify the Great Lakes. Because whatever controls the water controls the whole region. You could help the pirates take it over and form a pirate republic or empire. Or help the Canadian resistance that survived take over. Or maybe help the people that take over. Or maybe just destroy the water and have everyone die. You never really know. I feel like all that could be an interesting scenario that could play out. But that's just me. Where do you want the new Fallout game to take place in? And what new mechanics would you like it to have? Let me know in the comments below.